because this is one of the fears any performer would have. I, on purpose, during the performance, decided to make some mistakes and to show how I would overcome these mistakes.
Where there's a will, there's a way. It
Yes.
pays to be stubborn.
So I was between two countries and keeping up with all the exams and to be up to date and
incredible.
Ending up with having two diplomas at the end. And being creative, being different, being innovative, I thought, yes, creative women.
I'm Farah Shammas. Welcome to Hotel Talk. We hope you enjoy listening to this friendly conversation between people connected by real life in hotels. Welcome to Hotel Talk. So I am so happy to have with us today Olga Balakleets, who's a very good friend, who's been such a supportive and inspirational character here in Cyprus and abroad. She's based in London and she is the founder and really not just the brains, but the heart and soul behind Creative Women platform. Olga, thank you so much for being here.
Farah, it's such a pleasure and honor to be on this special podcast, especially you've just started recently.
Just launched it 3 weeks in.
I'm so honored, and I can only give my total admiration for yet another very exciting project you've started. Bravo.
Oh, thank you, my dear. Well, I would never have done something like this without having you on. I mean, you were one of the first people when I wrote down my list of people that I wanted to be on this podcast. You were definitely there right at the beginning. So, and I'm so happy that you're in Cyprus now. I mean, I know you come and go very often between London and Cyprus, and not just Limassol, also Paphos, and you move around a lot. But before we get into Creative Women and so many of the things that you and I maybe will chat about more naturally, I want to really talk about who you are. Like, who is the real Olga behind Olga Balakleets?
Well,
tell us everything from the start to the beginning. Where you were born, how you grew up, what inspired you, how you moved to London, what inspired you to start this platform?
Well, what a difficult and challenging question. Who is real Olga behind Olga? People know. But your amazing energy and the way you already started this podcast definitely makes me feel to want to be completely open and honest, and
that's what we want, like true authenticity, like the real people.
Not to be, in fact, embarrassed about sharing anything about my life and how my life was developing. I made several moves in my life since I was born, as many people. Many people made even more moves than me, but in my life, I made few moves. I was born in the south of Russia, on the Sea of Azov, which is, of course, now very, very close to places where tragic events happening. I was born there in this little place called Primorsk-Akhtarsk. The first 10 years of my life I spent in a much bigger city, which is one of the biggest in the south of Russia, Krasnodar, with more than 1 million population. And with my mother being a musician and pianist, I've started playing piano at a very young age. I don't remember exactly. I think it was around 5 years old.
And was she teaching you, or did you have a teacher?
I always had another teacher, but of course my mother was always a great supporter. She was always practicing with me, always giving her advice and put lots of pressure, of course. This is how you can really progress as a musician when you have very, very supportive family and ideally with this expertise. And it turned out that I've shown talent, and I was already performing think by the age of 6, 7, I definitely was already performing.
Already from such a young age, you were doing performances.
Yes, in front of the audience, which of course gave me, put me kind of in a different situation from many other children, because when you have to perform, you go on the stage, you have to overcome your fears, you have to produce something.
Almost be another person. For that moment, you have to put on an act. You are a performer.
Yes,
real performer.
I was made a performer from this very young age, and of course, it made me more confident.
Was it something that you wanted to do? Were you drawn to it, or was it something? Do you think you were kind of pushed into doing?
It came actually very naturally to me. At the young age, it all happened very naturally, and in fact, I didn't even have too many fears. It happened very naturally. And when even I was a question, but do you have a problem with memorizing things and going on stage and playing things from memory? Do you? Because this is one of the fears any performer would have. As an actress, as a musician, memory, not only confidence to go on the stage and to perform, but how you deal with your memory, because you have to produce certain things which you have to memorize. And that was not a problem at all. And there was a very little incident when actually I wanted to prove that I don't have any problem with the memory. So what I did, I think I was probably something like 7 years old. I, on purpose, during the performance, decided to make some mistakes and to show how I would overcome these mistakes.
Wow. So you gave yourself a challenge.
Exactly. And that was very, very cheeky, of course, something you should never do. But to show that I was in command, that something can possibly go wrong, but I will manage this so professionally to overcome and to do it in such a way that most people would not even notice and would not realize what's happening.
But why did you feel the need to do that? That's amazing. Was it because you felt people were doubting you already, or people were questioning that, or that was an issue with other performers and you wanted to prove that?
Yes, I wanted to prove that if a problem with the memory could happen, I would know what to do to overcome this, for the audience not to realize that there was a problem to such an extent.
Wow.
However...
Amazing. The mind of children, huh? And what is now our subconscious, you know.
Yes. However, by the age of 10, 11, that started to change. I was becoming, and this is natural. Natural, and of course,
I'm more aware, more self-aware.
I was, meeting and discussing this particular issue with many other performing musicians, and they told me that they've developed this fear and more consciousness later, when you're younger, when you're really
you don't have as much fear.
You don't think very much.
But I think that's everything in life, isn't it? I mean, if you ask a 6-year-old to come down the mountain on skis, they're going to just go for it. But if you tell a 10-year-old that is more aware, they've seen more, the rationale goes in. And then, of course, you've got hormones as well playing a part, and growing up, and peer pressure.
Yes. And this is what's happened. And I was still going on stage, producing my confidence, but I had many more fears I had to manage. And I was managing it, but it was just coming with a more difficulty.
Yeah.
So
and how did you overcome that?
Well, constantly working on yourself and constantly overcoming this fear, and proving that you can overcome this fear. And
did you have help? Did you have a mentor? Did your teacher help you, or did you rely on yourself too?
I did rely on myself.
Yeah.
Yes, for so long, and just constantly talking to myself, overcoming this. And sometimes, depending, of course, what you had to perform, if you just come and play yourself one short piece is one thing, but when later in life, when you have to produce the whole recital, which is 1.5 hours of music, or if you go on the stage to perform, to be a soloist, playing concerto as a soloist with a symphony orchestra, and for half an hour you're the center of their attention. But this is later. We could jump and talk about this later. But constantly working on yourself and having this confidence and overcoming fear. But this is obviously what makes you stronger, and this is an ability which is a good ability to have. And then, of course, this strength and confidence which I had to gain as a performer, I put this into all my other activities and other difficulties I had to overcome. But that was the experience I had, and something I've learned from being a performer, being on the stage, and being strong and overcoming your fears.
So from there, you went on to study music?
Absolutely, yes. I started in the south of Russia. Then I moved to St. Petersburg. And
Amazing.
I moved.
So beautiful.
I moved, a beautiful, stunning city. I was accepted. I passed examination, and I was accepted at the special conservatory school for talented children in St. Petersburg. And it was my move. I had to be for 1 year in a boarding school, which was a very, very big change.
How old were you?
I was just becoming 11.
So you were also really young, because we'll talk about that later, but your son obviously also went to boarding school. I went to boarding school. And how was that? I went to...
It was not so typical. It was a really, really a big thing for my parents to make
it's not a common thing, boarding school in Russia.
Not at all.
And was it... I know that UK boarding schools are quite strict, or they were definitely when I was there, but in Russia, I imagine they were even stricter, or no?
It was very, very strict. And you see, because it was a specialized boarding school, we had to have all the academic subjects and musical subjects. And
so much pressure.
So much pressure on performing and musical subjects, because the school was selecting the best of the best in the country. I had to share a room even with girls from Yakutia. Most people even don't know what Yakutia is, where it is. It is so far from everywhere that you would not believe. And the temperature there is almost
cold.
Constantly minus 50.
Wow.
And you can imagine what kind of tough creatures and children
come from there.
Come from this region, and they've been in my room. It was a big change.
And how did that affect you? Because you were so far away from your parents. You were in a very competitive environment. I imagine it wasn't a very nurturing environment,
Not at all. To start with, I didn't practically eat anything for 1 month. Not that I was on some kind of a strike, but just...
Yes, just from sadness.
I did, from sadness, from stress, but also from not accepting really the canteen cuisine. It was not. It was a very big contrast to
from your parents, mommy's cooking.
From mommy's cooking, yes.
And it must have been quite tough on your mum as well.
Yes,
but she did it because she knew it was the best thing for you.
Exactly. It was. But I'm so grateful for that decision, because if not that decision,
you wouldn't have gone on.
Probably I would not even sitting here having our wonderful conversation. Yes.
So you only did 1 year boarding school?
I did 1 year, after which my family, with obviously lots of work and difficulties, but they moved to St. Petersburg.
Oh, wow. So your whole family moved to St. Petersburg for you? For you to...
But I was the reason for this big move.
So, and you have brothers and sisters?
No, I'm the only child.
Only child. So your parents moved to St. Petersburg so that you could still attend the same school,
exactly,
but be a day child, not be a boarder.
Exactly.
And how was that? Must have been amazing for you.
It was amazing.
I get emotional thinking about a little 12-year-old who suddenly has the school and her parents. Yeah.
And it was a very big move for my family, and I know it was not easy at all, and it was a very big sacrifice for both of them. And it took some time to settle, to find jobs, but they've done it for me, and I continue to study in the school, which I successfully finished years later with a special medal recognition for being one of the best students of the school, and that my year, and the medal which was given for all the subjects. You had to have the best marks in all the subjects, in academic and musical and performing, everything, because if at least one would not be
then the whole average drops.
Then the medal would not be given.
So you did that. I mean, that must have been such a proud moment for your mum. I want to ask, do you think there was a little element, maybe because all parents have this in some way, of your mother maybe living her dreams through you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. She's a wonderful musician, and she's a fantastic teacher, but she was all her life really more as a teacher, but she wanted to give me more. She wanted me to be in the best musical school, one of two really best in the whole country, Moscow and St. Petersburg. And she wanted me to be on the stage and to perform, and which I
accomplished,
which I did.
And so after school.
Yes, after school, conservatory, High School of Music Conservatories started in St. Petersburg. And this is where not only my life really changed as a student, because I entered the High School of Music Conservatory, but something else happened which determined further events in my life. When I entered the conservatory, I was chosen to be on the organizing students committee, where my responsibility was to run students' concerts, events and concerts. And you, knowing what I'm doing and what I've been doing, you will understand what a significant moment it was. Suddenly I was given a job to run all the students' concerts.
And to organize people, to organize events, to organize performances.
Yes. And it had nothing to do with the conservatory. I had to find students' programs and take them to other venues, to other institutes, to factories, homes for orphans, and to bring musical programs and concerts and to perform for them.
And to create an experience for whoever the audience were.
Yes, yes.
So is that maybe where the seed of organizing
of course. And I was not really quite ready, but it was proposed to me. And
how old were you? 18, 19?
I was 18.
Yeah.
I was 18, and actually I was the youngest student to be selected to be on this organizing committee, and then to be in charge of all the concerts outside the conservatory. That was actually a big job. I was not really quite ready, but after one or two concerts, I realized how much I like it, and actually I can do it.
You were good at it,
and yes, and since then I really never stopped organizing.
Yeah, you realize. So then afterwards.
After 2 years at the conservatory, I was already performing, by the way, in Russia,
and you were doing
abroad,
piano.
Yes, I'm a pianist. When we'll be talking about my son, we can talk about being a multi-instrumentalist. But for me, it was piano. But of course, I was playing with so many musicians and singers and other instrumentalists when I was accompanying them, and that was always very, very special for me. I like performing with other musicians as well. I was already performing abroad. I was selected to play in Germany at the very important festival Schleswig-Holstein in the north of Germany. I had amazing experiences there. I met very famous musicians, and one of them, of course, was Mstislav Rostropovich, the legendary Mstislav Rostropovich, one of the most famous musicians of the 20th century. And he played a very important role in my life as well. But also,
which you'll tell us a little bit about.
Absolutely. But when I was performing in Germany, I I had amazing, really experiences. I also was selected to play in a very famous German TV series, The Landarzt, the village doctor.
Wow.
I was selected to be actually a dub, not to be an actress, but to be a dub, a pianist, who was producing a double for an actress, a famous German actress, Berlin-based, Julia Biedermann, who happened to be a concert pianist in her role, but
wasn't.
But was not. So I
secretly have that talent up her sleeve.
But I was selected to be her dub, and it was amazing experience.
Did you look like her, and that's why, or was it just the hands? Or?
Not at all. And at that
so how
point,
did they do it? Was it just the hands?
Maybe I can be different things, but I certainly cannot be a blonde because Julia was blonde, and they had to produce a blonde wig for me. The same dress and blonde, and there've been lots of publication in the press. And when I was looking at these pictures, me being blonde, I've seen no, me blonde, no, never.
I'm good with black hair.
Yes. And I met a very, very famous German professor, Hans Lehrgraf, who suggested that I could study in Berlin, the Hochschule für Musik, High School of Music in Berlin, which sounded really, really fantastic.
And did you learn German while you were there, or?
But the stories, I will tell you about German in a moment. But he said you can do your examination and audition in 1 year time. But I got so excited. I said, I can't possibly wait for 1 year. I want now. And he said, but you know, this is now too late for auditions. You because when we met, it was summer. The festival was happening in summer. But I simply said, I cannot wait for 1 year. I don't want to wait. And I pressed him so much that he said, oh yes, but of course I'm a professor actually in Berlin. And also at the famous Salzburg Hochschule für Musik Mozarteum, Academy Mozarteum in Salzburg. And they have auditions in early October. So if you really, really want to start as soon as possible, then it will be Salzburg. So that's how suddenly I ended up doing this audition in October in Salzburg. I was accepted, I was given scholarship, and I've started in Salzburg, and this is at the same time as still being a student in St. Petersburg at the conservatory. So from that moment, I put myself in this almost impossible situation where I was a student of two very famous schools of music in St. Petersburg and in Salzburg, and I was moving between two and doing exams and preparing programs. And
how did you manage it? How did you?
With the difficulty, but I did.
You did it.
Yes. And I must say I was really, really proud, and I was totally determined to be able to do this and not to waste
an example
any
of
time.
Where there's a will, there's a way. It pays to be stubborn.
So I was between two countries and keeping up with all the exams and to be up to date and
incredible.
Ending up with having two diplomas at the end.
So you had two diplomas basically at the same time from two different universities, which are two of the leading universities in the world.
Well, especially for music.
For music.
That was my specialty.
Oh my goodness!
Salzburg and St. Petersburg.
I'm like turning the pages. Next page. Next page.
Exactly.
Wow.
Right. So, and then, of course, I was again a guest at Stradvikostein Festival, and I meet Mstislav Rostropovich, who asked me where I was studying and obviously about my life, and I've explained my moves and where I was, and he said, you know what, I think London is the place where you should move next, because this will be the right place for you. And by the way, next year I'm doing a particular festival. Why don't you come and visit the festival? You can come to concerts, rehearsals, and I think you will be definitely inspired by London. How could I not follow this advice and this invitation? And I came to London. I remember I was...
and what was your mum feeling throughout all of this, and your parents? Must have been so proud.
of course, she was proud. She was a bit worried, and you see, I managed to bring my mother to Austria in the meantime, and she started teaching there, and the condition on which she was given a job as a teacher, if I will take at least half-time job as a teacher within the same music school circle.
Okay.
Which
so you were both teaching,
which seemed to be impossibly difficult because can you imagine already with having being a student in two institutions and doing jobs, but performing jobs, accompanying jobs, but a job as a teacher requires certain number of hours. That was a big challenge, but I realized if I will not take it, to kind of supervise my mother, who didn't speak German at that time at all. I was picking up quite quickly. And by the way, before coming to Germany, Austria, I never learned German. I was learning English, and of course in my country, without really too much experience, it was not so easy to speak well English. But the German was picked up already later. But my mother, to start with, of course, she didn't have any knowledge of the language, but she was picking up also very quickly, and I'm incredibly proud of her not being afraid to take this job and to pick up the language. So I was teaching in parallel with her for some time, and then she stayed in Austria for many more years. Unlike me, who moved
and then you moved
to London.
We
already.
So tell us a bit about London.
Yes, and I arrived in London. I wanted to be dressed very elegantly. I remember I had this beautiful hat and manteau, but
I like the whisper.
Yes, and I at that moment, of course, I could not just stay in a hotel in central London. I had a friend who lived in Brixton. I had no idea even what Brixton
where it was. What was it?
Where it was. And can you imagine? I come to Brixton being dressed like that. So to realize that maybe that was not the most appropriate outfit.
Attire for the area.
Yes, and I come to see this festival. Stislav Rostropovich inviting me to various rehearsals, concerts, and I'm meeting very, very famous musicians. I realized that London is the place I really want to be. And during this visit, I paid visits to the Royal College of Music, Royal Academy of Music. I've announced my wish to study, obviously already as a postgraduate, because I could not qualify to be an undergraduate student. And I was invited a few months later for later auditions for postgraduate, and I was given places in both at the academy and at the college. But I made a decision for the Royal College because their system was confirming scholarships immediately, where with the academy I had to wait for a few months, and obviously.
I see that. Yeah,
I took my first opportunity.
Impatience is one of your not one of your strengths, but in a good way, because it's made you. It's been a big driver.
Yes. We need to be patient, and late in life, I had to learn that I have to be patient. But in those times, no, I could not.
I love it, and determination, and also what's really apparent in your story thus far, and you haven't even gone, I think, halfway, but it's not just your determination, but your quest for knowledge. And your drive to really seek out the best, to learn more, to find mentors, to find inspiration, and to keep learning. And I think that's amazing.
Well, thank you. I really always wanted to meet wonderful people, to be inspired by them, to learn. That's true. And obviously, being a student, as a music student in the past, schools. That was my desire, and I'm very, very proud that I managed to
absolutely, you should
to have diplomas from this three amazing musical institutions.
Okay, and so then how long did that diploma take?
2 years of postgraduate studies. I received all the possible qualifications. After the first year, I was already given a title, Postgraduate Pianist of the Year, where I was taking part in this particular competition.
Incredible.
And and the year was extremely strong. We had really, really amazing pianist in that year, postgraduate pianist, one of the strongest in the entire history of the Royal College of Music. And I don't even know how I was given this title and I won this competition. But anyway, I was very, very happy it happened. 2 years, and after 2 years, I already, of course, I knew that I would want to stay in London. This is really, really my place. And I became again very, very, very active. I was performing, I was teaching, I was doing jobs for various agencies, artistic agencies. I was acting as an interpreter, and I was a tour assistant. I was doing so many different things to live, to survive, to earn, but also because I was very, very interested in the management aspect. You know, now I'm becoming very active and I keep touching the. That's
okay. The we keep all of us keep knocking the microphone when we
and doing too many, I suppose, too many different things at the same time. But who is sitting? I'm sitting in front of the lady who is doing million jobs and doing them with such a passion. And I really, Farah,
multitaskers. What can we? Takes really, on to no one.
I do not know how you do this. And
you're so sweet.
You don't need to be impressed about my multitasking, because you're super multitasking and super achieving lady.
You're so sweet. You're so sweet. Thank you, Olga. But tell us more. So, okay, so you finished from London.
Yes.
Yeah. And, or studying rather. Your studies in London.
Yes, doing different jobs with different agencies. But soon I realized that working for someone else is not really who I am. I have to do something on my own. And
you're quite literally too creative.
I just realized that was not my life. I could not, and I felt almost guilty being in an office and finishing everything very quickly. All the tasks I would be given, and then what next? Because I
having dead hours, which is.
And when I was proposing to do more things, I felt maybe it was really too much it was not expected from me.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to do more and more and more.
Yeah, because you're energetic, you're a bit hyperactive in a good way. And actually that's a really interesting, I don't know, just scenario to bring up on this podcast, but so many people listening in so many different spheres of life, how people can have employees and the expectations of different people in different scenarios. So in some cases, somebody might work for an organization and they are literally only expected to do X, Y, and Z. And if they finish it in less time, that's okay. They can just waste away 4 hours of a day. For some people, that's fine. And that's what they want to do, take a paycheck. But for so many others, that's not enough and they're not being utilized. So maybe had you have been in a different scenario, a different organization, had a different boss, you could have thrived and gone on, and they could have thrived and done something else. So yeah, it's just interesting. It's interesting how, different ways of seeing the same thing.
Yes, but it's really, really wonderful when you, and of course you know better than anyone else, when you have employees, and this is what happened to me later in life when I started having my employees, to encourage them to do more and more and to give them a chance to come up with their creative ideas.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
to contribute, to feel a purpose, to contribute, to help.
And you do this extremely well, and it's a special talent. Not every employee, not every boss can do this.
I hope so. Thank you. So okay, being an employee was not for you. So then, what did you?
Yes. So I started working on my own festival. And I didn't want to start with something really, really small in a small place with maybe 100 people, maybe 2
Knowing
days.
you, that's definitely not you. You don't do small.
No. I've started my first project, my first festival, 2 weeks festival at the South Bank Center, which is
a big venue.
It's a huge venue which consists of several concert halls, including Roll Festival Hall, with a capacity of just over 3,000 seats. I didn't want to start small, so I've started with Festival Dimensions, which ran for 2 weeks, starting with the Roll Festival Hall, using all other venues, Queen Elizabeth Hall, Purcell Room.
I have so many questions. How did you do that? What made you think of that? Who backed you? What financial input did you have? Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more.
It was totally crazy decision. Of course, I was not really ready for that. I just knew that I had this ambition. I had to start with something very, very inspiring, very, very big. I wanted to really create something which will have an impact, will resonate. I engaged top PR company doing PR for this festival. So I was in the major newspapers giving interviews.
And how old were you? How old were you at this point?
When I conceived, when I decided to do this festival, I was exactly 26.
Wow.
I know these days, of course, we've seen many
did you have investors?
No, it was I was raising sponsorship, and I managed to get some private sponsors and bigger companies, including one big bank, to give me money absolutely out of the blue. I was approaching them, and they said yes, they would support this. But I must say that it was a risky situation, which unfortunately was repeated in my life and my activities, because this is what happens with events.
But again, it is like what we were saying, when you're young, when you're 6, 7, you have no fear. And then when you're 10 and 11, you start, your rationale starts coming into play. And the same thing, maybe when you're 26, you have no fear.
Exactly.
And then maybe when you're
like this.
Then when you're in your 30s, you start your rationale, then your business acumen starts coming in and saying,
Absolutely.
actually.
Yes.
So what happened at 26? Was it a success?
Well, it was a big success. Of course, I had losses. But it was not organized as a festival, repeated festival. It was one-off.
A one-off.
Yes.
Okay.
And I always
so
knew
it was
that,
a success for everybody who participated.
Yes, but not for me.
But not for you, financially.
Financially, not at all. And of course, it put lots of strengths on me personally, and I've learned a lot. It was a really, really big experience for me.
Did you regret it?
No, not at all.
No,
not for a minute.
That's amazing.
Not for a minute.
And why not?
I did not cancel any single event
that you'd promised
of that 2 weeks program.
Yeah, you stuck to your principles and what you'd promised.
Well,
everyone.
cancelling for me is never an option. In the worst scenario, I could these days, and of course, as we know, we live in times of such crisis and difficulties that we simply forced to adapt and to make certain adjustments and changes. But still, for me, a cancellation is not an option. So a big experience.
So
that
you had this
festival
amazing
was,
experience.
Absolutely.
It was a success in many ways, but financially for you personally was not so great. So how did you feel when it finished? Because I know that there's anticlimax with any big event that happens, whether it's a party, a birthday party, or someone's wedding day, or, just a holiday, always that there's the anticlimax afterwards. Like it's finished, all that effort that went into it. Then you kind of go, oh, I'm done. You can relax a bit. But I imagine if you also had then the financial strain that, you didn't come out of it breaking even at least, with the anticlimax and the time on your hands, did you then feel a bit down or sad, or did you feel encouraged to go on? Tell us a little bit about after.
Both. Of course, I had anticlimax. I was upset, but I knew that I have to start something new and I have to move on. And I certainly, organizing events and cultural events is something I will continue to do because I can do it. I understand. I feel it.
So where do you think that resilience came from? Like, it must have been a feeling in your gut. Like, where did it come from? Where's the fighter in you from? Where was that born?
It is actually from both of my parents, who are very, very different people, but they both gave me and made me who I am.
Who you are.
And they both, my father unfortunately passed away several years ago, but he was, and my mother, they're both very determined and resilient people.
And were they very encouraging people with you? Did they always say you can do it?
Of course.
And
of course.
And they imprinted that into your mindset.
Yes, and I suppose I went to an extreme with what I was doing, but this certainly I inherited from them, and I kind of took it further, taking more risk, doing bigger things, and overcoming bigger fears.
Amazing. So tell us. So you overcame this, and then what did you do?
Yes, I at that time I met my future husband, and soon after the festival, we decided to start a company together, which would be organizing events.
He's also a musician.
He is a musician, and he is in politics as well. Not a very good place to be right now, especially
in the UK.
Exactly. But
it is what it is.
It is what it is, and that was his passion also for a very long time. We started a company together, and for a number of years we've been organizing events together, and after a certain time,
and they were successful.
Certainly, we created several very, very successful projects and concerts. But after some time, he decided to take a different job, to be a director of a cultural center, which meant he had to completely finish his directorship with the company. And I stayed by myself with this company, and I continued. And in fact, I started doing even more projects and even bigger projects after he moved on and to have a different job.
Do you think that was because the little voice inside you was still saying, go big, shoot for the stars, and maybe you didn't have the voice of reason or a grounding force, if that's what he was?
Definitely. I was my own boss, and I just let it go, and I was taking all the possible
opportunities. Rolled with the punches.
Exactly.
And how did that go?
Well, you see, in events industry, you have ups and downs all the time. You depend on sponsors, you depend on ticket sales, and you're never really secured for either.
Absolutely, either outcome.
This is the difficulty, and of course they've been successful projects, they've been again unsuccessful projects, but I was always just driven to, I have to keep going, I have to do more, and I cannot do just meaningless projects, working with the best artists, working in the best venues. And of course, it was not only in the UK. I was doing projects in other European countries. I started working in the Middle East. And of course, I've started working in Cyprus, which really became my second home, a place I really love. And my first project started already in 2007, which was, of course, many years ago.
Yeah.
I started working really internationally, and in the Far East, in Hong Kong. I've produced many projects for the government of Hong Kong.
What was your driving, and what is your driving force? Like, what is it? Is it, I'm speculating now, is it the experience for the people? Is it for you a sense of purpose? Is it fulfillment or self-fulfillment? Is it to do something bigger and better? I mean, what is your drive?
It's a bit of everything. It's a bit of everything. I like realizing dreams and producing something which will have a positive impact on people, on the audiences. I like it. It gives me great satisfaction. And for me, of course, the best really achievement after a certain event, when people come to me and say they really loved it and they felt something really special about this. And then, of course, Creative Women, something we will discuss as well, the same, whether it's a cultural event, concert ever organized, or another conference or event for my platform. When people who've been part of this say that they've learned something, they've experienced something very, very special. For me, this is the best gratitude, much more even than financial success of a particular event.
Yeah, because you can definitely see money is not your driver. I mean, your driver is so much more.
Which should be, definitely.
No, definitely. There's no should or shouldn't.
For me, this pleasure which you can give some purpose you can give to other people. This is definitely what drives me.
So how did you go from that to Creative Women?
Yes, years ago, and of course by that time I've done already quite a few projects in Cyprus, and I had many friends. I was coming to Cyprus on a regular basis.
And I'm just going to interject here. How did you come to Cyprus in the first place?
In the first place, actually, it was
a holiday, and then...
very simple. Very simple. My mother wanted to have a place in a warm country with a sea, and buying a property in Cyprus was just
ticked all the boxes.
Exactly, with your wonderful weather and beautiful temperature of the water. But I realized that if I will have home in Cyprus, I need to create something here, because just having Cyprus as a holiday place, it would not be enough. With my energy, I had to have a project, and so this is how this charitable gala in the Presidential Palace started in 2007 to support Radio Marathonia's Foundation, and which was happening for so many years.
Which is an amazing event. Yeah, the gala that happened every year. Beautiful.
Thank you. And in 2016, actually in 2014, I was awarded. I was given an award. By organization run by a wonderful Janice Ruffle, Businesswoman of the Year award. And because it was related to women, and I was a recipient of the award as a woman, it made me feel that I definitely need to do an event and something which will be special for women. Because celebrating women, because I haven't done anything for women. And this is how I did my very first, very, very small first gathering, which was at San Rafael Hotel years ago. And I wasn't clear at all, actually, about what I really want to do for women, what is going to be. But it started with that first gathering. And then I started thinking and developing.
And the name came about just purely because you are creative, or how did you decide on
exactly.
Creative
The name, because things I'm doing, it is about creativity, and I was thinking that creative it stands out. It's good. It's very, very positive, and being creative, being different, being innovative. I thought, yes, Creative Women. And it certainly started not with a very, very clear idea what is going to be, and then it developed into conferences, and 4 conferences happened in Cyprus.
A huge networking.
Yes,
huge networking.
And then pandemic started. I realized that possibly we should move to London, and then pandemic started, which didn't allow us to do anything on a big scale. But as many of us said and experienced, that during pandemic, we suffered so much in so many different ways, and we had so many losses. But at the same time, pandemic also brought new things and taught us new things.
Gave us a lot, yeah. And taught us a lot.
Exactly. And during the pandemic, Creative Women started doing online events, and we established all our international connections and friendships, and we've been kind of still united. And during the pandemic, more and more ladies living in different countries said they actually would like to represent creative women in the country where this lady is from. Mm-hmm. And this is how, strangely enough, during the pandemic, we had a new growth.
New wave of life and growth.
Exactly. And now we ended up having with more than 40 representatives of creative women all around the world. Mm-hmm. Obviously, not every representative and is as active as others, and it will be taking time actually for initiatives to be more active in different countries. But I'm already extremely proud and grateful to all these many wonderful ladies who wanted to represent, and even maybe on a smaller level, but now they have more and more ideas and plans to develop different events in each of their country where they represent creative women. So we're very, very excited, and we have plans for several Middle Eastern countries and Georgia. We were planning already an amazing event in Georgia under the patronage of the President Zebashvili in the palace in Georgia, but because of the current war crisis, the plan had to be shifted, but we're definitely coming back to this.
So I want to go into now a little bit. I mean, you've told us so much, and thank you for being so honest and so real. I want to talk a bit because you, obviously your focus is a lot on women, on giving back. And I will say you are an amazing, I want to use the word enabler, but you are such a good introducer. There's an expression like a successful woman is not one who stands alone, or actually I guess it could be for anyone, but someone who turns back and helps the next person up with them. And you are inspiring in that respect. You are absolutely, there is no ego at play when it comes to you and introductions. Financial gain absolutely does not come into your realm. Wherever I've seen you, and I've known you for years, you will always introduce someone to another without hoping to be a middleman, in Cyprus, we're the country of commissions and backhanders and there's nothing that ever goes on like that with you. You will always do your best to help and prop up other people, whatever their background is.
Connecting people, and of course, platform is now serving as a very good connecting platform. And I'm so happy that not only many ladies living in different countries and so far from each other, they became very, very good friends. They've helped each other.
And the energy.
Some of them even made business contracts. Yeah. And I will be doing everything for this to be developed and to
help that. You really enable and help people. And I think that is possibly your calling. I mean, from what I've seen, it is inspirational. And the energy that is at your conferences is so contagious. They're just happy. I mean, I love the hashtag positive vibes, but that is what Creative Women is, at least for me, and what I've gained from it. But I want to talk a little bit about you as a mother, as a creative woman, as a mum. You have a lovely son who, in turn, I've known your son since he was a baby, coming to St. Raphael for your holidays every year.
St. Raphael was his first destination.
It was so sweet. Oh my goodness.
Nice memories of that.
And now, of course, he's grown. He's at university. Yeah. And you, in turn, it's amazing how families can repeat patterns. Just like your mum had to, digest some hardship in letting you go from a young age to send you off to a boarding school to fulfill your dreams and your destiny. You, in turn, also... Yeah. Your son went to boarding school at 13, yes, and I remember that was very emotional for you, and it wasn't something that you really wanted. You wanted to have him as a day boy, but he was accepted into Eton, one of the best schools in the world. And you said, I remember at the time, this is giving him so much more than him just being at home with me, and I have to let him go for that part. But of course, you were you didn't let him go. You were there for every exia, every weekend that you could have with him,
whenever it was possible and allowed.
I think you're one of those mums, behind the bushes. Hi, just over here. So tell us a little bit about being a mum, or a mummy. I love that word more. And what motherhood has taught you and given to you.
Well, of course, with a reference to you, you're setting up such high standards as a mother, not of just one, but of three. I hugely admire what you do.
There's no only or buts in children. If you have one or you have 10, it's
however, it's really, as I've expressed my admiration for you as a mother. I really know that you're setting the best example. But if you're asking me about my experience, I really, really wanted to be a very good mother, the best I could. I'm sure I made many mistakes, but the thing I'm the most proud of, that my son, in spite of many academic and musical achievements he had in his life, which I was, of course, supporting from his very young age, the biggest achievement is that he is a very kind person. He is very humble and very, very kind person. He would never dream of saying even one negative, bad word about anyone, not only about his friend, but anyone who might even deserve some, shall we say, criticism. And this is just amazing. He is simply caring and kind and modest. And when I, of course, now being in the university, I ask more and more about his future life and grown up life. And I think he's still digesting at what exactly he would want to do.
Because which direction
he's
wants
quite
to go
multi-talented, into. So it will not be such an easy choice.
And he's at Oxford, isn't he?
He's at Cambridge.
Cambridge. I always say them.
Yes. Yeah. He
just started. I got it in my head that he was in Oxford always, but yeah, he went to Cambridge.
He started at Cambridge. But he said to me even a few days ago when I spoke to him and tried to maybe to push him a little bit to influence, and he said, "Mama, I really would like to help people. This is what I want to do in life." That was his answer. I want to help people, and of course you can help people in many different ways.
Well, I was going to say the apple can't fall that far. You've just summed up yourself in 2 words: kind and wanting to help people.
I just realized that I should leave him alone and I should not be really pushing him, and he will find out his way. But this is a beautiful thing to say. I want to help people. I want to be nice to people, and I'm very, very, very proud of,
you should be
of that.
And that's actually something really lovely to have learned from your children is trust them to find their way, and they will. Believe in them, give them everything that you possibly can give them, every opportunity, every support, and then just say, I believe in you, and they'll find their way, as opposed to pushing them or trying to be.
Sometimes it's not easy. For example, with John, who is an amazing performer, he is multi-instrumentalist. He really plays violin, and piano, and guitar, and he sings, and he is composing. But I realized that I cannot really push him into being this or that, being a performer, being a famous songwriter. Something will not happen now, only because he would want or not want to be. And it's not so easy for possibly pushing very active parent who actually sees the great potential. But not to be pushy and to give a chance for already not a child, but really for a young now man to decide on his path.
On his own.
Yes.
I think that's amazing advice. Olga, I want to end it there. There's so many things we could talk about. And I have still a list of questions, but I think we're going to end it there. And we're going to finish with the closing tradition on this podcast, which is because it's a team effort, Hotel Talk, part of St. Raphael. All our team, or many members of them, have written a question in their own handwriting on pieces of paper without knowing which guest on the podcast or who's coming on and who's going to pull it out. So from this hat, or rather crystal bowl, just pull out any thanks, and I'll read it out to you. So
it's a question, yes?
Yes, it's going to be a question. So let's see. What did you get? Okay. All right. So actually, well, thank goodness, because this is for someone who is staying or has stayed in the hotel, which thankfully you have.
Yes,
many
absolutely,
times. So
many times.
Was your hotel stay as expected? And if it was as you expected, what are you going to do to show your satisfaction? Wow, that was from housekeeping.
Yes,
okay.
Gosh.
So that's interesting. So yeah, if you're staying at the hotel, and if you're staying at a hotel and it could be any hotel, as it was expected, what do you do to show your satisfaction?
First of all, I've stayed at San Rafael on several occasions.
But I guess this could apply to any hotel, yeah.
And well, I think we would like to express our satisfaction and admiration for San Rafael Hotel, which really, really for me became so many things. Well, first of all, it's a wonderful, beautiful hotel. I love the beach. I love the green area, which is so rare. Not so many places can have this. And
we do have a big garden.
This is just having this beautiful garden, looked and shaped so well, with the beautiful statues. I love it. And your little amphitheater and the church. And I love every bit of San Rafael. Very friendly staff. And so many been working here for such a long time. And for me, coming back and every time to see the recognized staff, it makes it very, very special, very helpful, very friendly staff at the reception as well. And this is what the management, I think, made sure that this is what's going to be. And the service and the friendly staff, one of the most important experiences anyone who stays in the hotel.
I think you just answered the question. Like the best way is word of mouth, that you do, so many people and you tell so many people.
So from my way of expressing this, starting from thanking the staff and letting them know that I was happy, it was appreciated, then moving to the social media and expressing gratitude and satisfaction. And this is what I do, and I will keep doing this.
Thank you, my dear.
And I'm sure many others will do the same about San Rafael. And of course, keep talking to friends and anyone who
encouraging people to come.
Exactly. And this is what I will keep doing with greatest pleasure.
Olga, well, thank you so much for being on Hotel Talk. Thank you so much for being so honest and open.
Thank you for inviting me.
And I can't wait for everyone on Creative Women to listen to this and really see a different side of you that we don't always see. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And such a great initiative, this podcast. I'm so excited about being here today. And of course, I will be listening to
all the other interviews.
All the other interviews. Absolutely.
Thank you, my dear.
Good luck. I'm sure it will be wonderful.